As the plane started to taxi onto the Chicago Midway International Airport, Peggy Uhle made sure that her phone was turned off in preparation for takeoff. However, the plane would not take off, and instead it would return to the gate where Uhle would be ordered to leave the plane by a flight attendant. Hello, wonderful people. I'm Dane Peterson from WonderBot, and here is Plane Crew's life changes after telling mom to deplane. Before we begin, make sure to smash the like button, subscribe to our channel, and click the notification bell for more amazing videos. It's quite normal to find many people being nervous before or during takeoff. Many people suffer from being nervous flyers. Most people don't find flying anything other than a relaxing experience. This time, however, Peggy Uhle would not have the regular experience she was expecting to have. Peggy Uhle knew the drill during takeoff. She made sure that her seatbelt was secured, none of her possessions were obstructing the aisle. She even had everything properly stowed, and her cell phone was turned off. This was the same drill as what every other passenger had to go through. Everyone was ready. The plane could take off. If you wanted to travel from Chicago, Illinois to Cleveland, Ohio by car, you would need to prepare yourself for a 350-mile, or almost 6 hours, drive between the two cities. Uhle's flight cut that time to a little over an hour. Unfortunately, the plane wouldn't even reach the runway before turning back to the gate. All the passengers on the plane were confused when it immediately returned to the gate where it had started from. Uhle saw a flight attendant approach her. "I figured I was on the wrong plane," she said in an interview with boardingarea.com in 2015. That's when the attendant ordered Uhle to disembark immediately. The Midway International Airport opened in 1927, over 90 years ago, when aviation was still a very new idea to a world that was uncertain. For 28 years, it served as the area's primary airport before the O'Hare International Airport was built. It was at this airport where Uhle's baffling encounter would take place. In May of 2015, Uhle would not manage to reach her destination. She didn't understand what was going on at first, nor why she wasn't being allowed to fly. At first, Uhle assumed that she had boarded the wrong plane by mistake. Soon, however, there would be a much bigger situation unfolding. Uhle wasn't the first person to be removed from a flight from Chicago, however. David Dow Duy is a Vietnamese-American doctor who had a similar experience in April of 2017. He was forcibly removed from a United Airlines flight. The entire situation happened because 4 people were not willing to give up their seats for airline staff en route to Louisville. When no one on the flight was willing to give up their seat, the airline chose seats at random. Dow was in one of the randomly selected seats, but he refused to give up his seat. In an email sent to the New York Times by airline CEO Oscar Munoz, the airline claimed that Dow was disruptive and belligerent. However, the other passengers on the plane had a different story to tell. Dow is a pulmonologist and needed to rush to Louisville for work the next morning. This is why he couldn't afford to get off the plane under any circumstances. Video footage taken by the passengers shows that Dow had been polite and matter-of-fact. He had no hostile intentions nor wanted to make a scene. Passengers on the plane claimed that the airline staff at the Chicago O'Hare International Airport hadn't been friendly at all. The video footage was recorded on the passengers' cell phones. They showed Dow's face being knocked into an armrest as aggressive security staff dragged him out of his seat and pulled off the plane by his arms. Dow would later agree on a settlement for his mistreatment. There are, however, cases where passengers were removed for unacceptable behavior. Passengers can't behave or act in a hostile manner. As an example, in October 2018, on a Southwest Airlines flight from Chicago to Houston, a female passenger refused to fold away her tray table and became aggressive when flight attendants asked her to comply. According to witnesses, the woman became testy and aggressive when the airline staff asked her to fold away her table. The woman had no reason not to comply with the flight attendant. She also became verbally abusive when she refused to do as the staff had kindly asked her to do. Her behavior was completely unwarranted. Due to this woman's outburst and behavior, the pilot turned the plane around and taxied back to the departure gate. To make things worse, she was being removed from the plane. The cell phone video showed her spewing a racially abusive tirade at the staff. Even though they were delayed by more than an hour, the passengers didn't mind and actively cheered when the woman was removed. A statement released by Southwest Airlines and published by the Daily Mail in October 2018 claimed that the passenger had ignored airline staff when instructed to follow safety procedures. It said, "The customer became unruly and verbally abusive toward our flight attendants, and the decision was made to return to the gate to deplane the customer, where she was met by local law enforcement officers." However, another passenger was removed from a Southwest Airlines aircraft for far less than that. A flight was due to depart from Sacramento, California, heading for Austin, Texas, via Los Angeles in May 2019. But according to KTXL, problems arose when refueling and maintenance issues delayed its scheduled flight by several hours. Concerned with keeping their customers hydrated, airline staff started to hand out water to those waiting patiently on board the flight. Perhaps in an effort to make light of the situation, a passenger reportedly suggested that the staff serve vodka instead of water, but the flight attendant didn't find his quip funny. Peter Uhle, who witnessed the incident, told KTXL in May 2019, he said something like, "They should be passing out vodka because we've been waiting so long." The flight attendant came by and was like, "I don't think that, and I didn't like your joke." The situation then escalated when Uhle's wife intervened. As Uhle described, "Then my wife tried to butt in there and say, 'Look, we've been on this plane for hours.' And the attendant says, 'Well, so have I, so get used to it.' Then all of a sudden, I see her on the telephone up in front." The plane then returned to the gate, and the man was removed by Sacramento County Sheriff officers. Things escalated way further than they ever should have over such a small dispute. After the couple was forced off of the plane, they found that Southwest Airlines didn't even apologize for the incident. They did issue a statement regarding the incident on the plane. As reported by MSN, it said, "We regret any less than positive experience a customer has on board our aircraft. We welcome over 100 million customers each year, and we aim to maintain the comfort of all while delivering Southwest hospitality." Just a few weeks before Peggy Uhle's experience with Southwest Airlines, meanwhile, another passenger claimed they'd had a particularly unpleasant experience. The customer alleged that the company had prevented her from contacting her husband after she'd received a disturbing message from him. Passenger Karen Momsen Evers from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, received a message from her husband claiming that he intended to take his own life. She replied back to him before the flight from New Orleans, Louisiana to Milwaukee departed. Then the distraught wife made a further request to airline staff to make an emergency phone call. However, the crew instructed Momsen Evers to set her phone to flight mode, according to the Daily Mail, once the plane had taken to the air. She asked another crew member for an opportunity to make an urgent call to her husband, and the response allegedly was that there wasn't anything they could do for her. Momsen Evers then continued her journey home, but when she got there, she was greeted by police officers who broke the news that her husband had committed suicide. Southwest Airlines insisted it's routine for aircrew to inform pilots of emergency situations in which passengers or the aircraft are at risk. However, that didn't happen this time. So what happened with Peggy Uhle in 2015 that pilots felt it necessary to turn the plane back to the departure gate? Had she become unruly, like the woman on the flight from Chicago to Houston? Had she offended airline staff, like the man on a delayed flight from Sacramento to Houston? Well, as it turns out, she did neither of these things. Uhle, as we explored earlier, hadn't requested to make a call herself when she received bad news, unlike Momsen Evers weeks earlier. Instead, there was an emergency that the Southwest Airlines passenger wasn't aware of at home. And as we discussed, the diligent passenger had prepared for the flight's departure by turning her phone off. This was a routine that she had gotten used to. So, as Uhle sat in her seat waiting to take off, a flight attendant came over with some instructions for her. But the staff member wasn't directing her to the departure gate. Rather, because Uhle's phone had been turned off, she was unaware that her husband had been desperately trying to contact her. Unable to reach Uhle directly, then, her husband was forced to find another way to get in contact with her. A desperate situation had unfolded at home that he needed to make his wife aware of. As a result, he contacted Southwest Airlines directly in the hope that they could pass a message on. This is how she became aware of the situation at home. Realizing the urgency of the situation, airline staff alerted the pilot of the circumstances. The captain then made provisions for Uhle to return to the departure gate. Already taxiing toward the runway, he turned the plane around and headed back to its starting point. And when it got there, gate staff instructed Uhle to call home. When Uhle contacted her husband, he told her some devastating news. Their son had suffered a head injury and was in a coma in Denver. It's distressing news for any parent, but Uhle was thousands of miles away in Chicago and heading for Columbus. So how would she get to her boy? With Uhle frantic about her son's life-threatening condition, the stricken mom had the added stress of figuring out how to get back to Denver and how she would pay for it all. Southwest Airlines, however, were aware of the situation, and they were one step ahead of her. They did something that she never expected. The gate attendant already knew the situation and had me booked on a direct flight to Denver that was leaving in the next 2 hours, Uhle told boardingarea.com. But Southwest Airlines' efforts in hospitality didn't end there. It seems that the staff had thought of everything so that the distraught mom didn't have to. Uhle continued, Southwest Airlines offered a private waiting area, rerouted my luggage, allowed me to board first, and even packed a lunch for when I got off the plane in Denver. The shattered mom then didn't have to do anything because airline staff had kindly taken care of all her needs. She was well taken care of. Furthermore, Southwest Airlines staff didn't merely send Uhle on her way and forget about her. As she explained to the Daily Mail, my luggage was delivered to where I was staying, and I even received a call from Southwest asking how my son was doing. So how much did the extra service cost Uhle? People might think that nothing if for free, and with that kind of hospitality and service, it would have cost an arm and a leg. No doubt the best part of Uhle's predicament was that she got to be with her son and with little delay. However, that it came at no further cost to the heartbroken mom must have been an added relief. Southwest Airlines provided Uhle's unexpected travel requirements completely free of charge. She couldn't have thanked them enough for their understanding. So it seems that Southwest Airlines' care commitment extends beyond its employees. They back up the claims that they make when you go to their website. As the company's website states, the mission of Southwest Airlines is dedication to the highest quality of customer service delivered with a sense of warmth, friendliness, individual pride, and company spirit. A further statement of intent on Southwest Airlines' website underlines their level of loyalty, trying to go above and beyond what their clients would expect of them. It reads, "We don't take our commitments lightly. We are dedicated to doing the right thing. We take great strides to ensure passenger safety and fostering trusting relationships between our employees, our customers, our suppliers, and our planet." It seems that the company is true to their word. Furthermore, in a statement made to Mail Online Travel in May 2015, a spokesperson addressed the Uhle incident. They said, "This example is a direct reflection of the Southwest Airlines culture. Employees are empowered at Southwest to go above and beyond the call of duty." The Southwest Airlines statement continued, saying that staff had the freedom to follow their hearts and make decisions that positively impact our customers. We're certainly proud of, but not surprised by, any of the hard work that went into doing the right thing for Ms. Uhle and her family. The staff's hospitality, then, is something their employers expect. Nevertheless, the airline's attentiveness was a move hugely appreciated by Uhle. As she described to boardingarea.com, "The care that I was shown is second to none. We have always liked Southwest Airlines, and now I can't say enough good things about them." But what of Uhle's son? Well, it turns out that despite suffering head trauma, he was soon on the mend, according to Metaspoon.